Hi, you guys. I'm Dr. Christy Wise, and I'm super excited today to share with you my 13 musts to making love meaningful. And I chose this topic in particular because, some of us are really good at falling in and out of love. Some of us have a hard time ever falling in and out of love. Some of us fall in, but we can't fall out, and others fall out and they never really fall in. Whatever you are, whatever it is that you do, making it meaningful is what gives our life meaning, So these are my 13 musts to making love meaningful. And if you don't write down anything else, you definitely want to write down these. If not, then I suggest that you go to my website and download them. It's life-sauce.com, and you can download these. So let's start with number one on my list, and that is making bids. Let me rephrase that. Number one is making the choice to make bids or pursue your partner. And I use these words very specifically. So we either do or we don't. We choose to do things or we choose not to do things. So when it comes to an amazing relationship, it is an active process. You have to choose it and re-choose it and choose it. And when you're not in the mood, then you have to re-choose it. So be very clear about the language that I'm using. So making the choice to make a bid means that even when you're not so much in the mood, or you've become complacent or lazy or stingy, let's just be honest, right? Over time, we're human and we just take things for granted. So it is a choice to become lazy or stingy, and it is a choice to be active and involved. So my first one is to make a choice to make a bid, and that means that you are actively leaning in, that you're reaching out for, that you're pursuing, that it's an active reaching for your partner. In whatever that looks like, but it's daily, right? So we can be lazy and say, days go by, weeks go by, hours go by, months go by, years go by, and people stop making those bids or pursuing their partner, and then they wonder why they feel so alone in the relationship. So number one is making the choice to make a bid for your partner. Number two is to see your partner for who they really are. This is a hard one. I get it. We have the fantasy of who we think we should be with, um, or who we think they are. And the truth is that you fell in love with them and fell in love with all the little parts of them. And so seeing them for who they really are allows them to be able to give to you and for you to receive in a way that's way more meaningful than you making shit up or expecting them to be something that they're not. So seeing them for who they are, that means that the gifts that they bring are specific to them. So don't be so coy as to think that just anybody can bring those, because whatever it is that you fell in love with your partner, is because you fell in love with who they are, not exactly who you demand them to be. Number three is be willing to learn from each other. So we all want to feel like we're valuable, that we are worth, paying attention to or learning from. And the truth is that we fell in love with them for a reason, and there's so much to learn from each other. And by the way, it's not just in the good things, it's also in the negative things too that we can learn. So number three is be willing to learn from them. Number four is share a common dream or vision. By the way, this is different than a goal, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But sharing a dream or a vision is a huge one because it is the foundation for what connects us, right? The things that we share, the visions, the dreams, the goals, the things that we want to accomplish in our lives together completely creates meaning for us. So, um, you know, sharing that dream, and it doesn't have to be all of them, by the way. You can have your own dreams and your own visions. You should, in fact, have your own dreams and your own vision, but you should also enjoy and create some mutual ones. So whether it's that you have 9 kids or 2 kids, or you travel the world, or you get fit, or you make love in every state in the United States. Who knows? Whatever that is important that you share it, and that it's something that you guys have created together. Number 5 is breathe life into that shared vision. So I use the distinction of breathing life, and let me explain it to you so you have a little bit of understanding. So breathing life, it's like the fish story. The one that like your uncle tells at Thanksgiving, where they went fishing and the fish was like this big, and then the next year he tells a story and the fish is this big, and then he tells a story again and the fish is this big, and like after 10 years that fish was that big, right? The fish gets bigger over time, and that's because they breathe life into the story, just like we do, by the way, with our own memories. And, like she was never there, he was always, whatever it is, we breathe life into stories. And, there's someone around the table going, that didn't happen. And you're like, yes, it did. It's because we tell it so many times that we breathe life into it. And by the way, the things that we don't breathe life into dwindle. Those memories that you have when you were young that you'd never talk about and that you can't remember, you can't recall, it's because there's been no life that you've been breathing into it. When somebody says, I can remember all of the addresses or all of my teachers' names, it's because they've said them so many times that they have breathed life into them. So I not only want you to have a goal or a dream or vision with your partner, but talking about it, sharing about it, breathing life into it makes it happen, makes it real, right? Gives it life. The next one is number 6 is creating daily, weekly rituals, monthly, yearly rituals. John Gottman is one of my very favorite researchers. He's amazing. If you haven't checked him out, you should. He's incredible. And one of the things he talks about is how couples add meaning into their relationship, and that is building rituals. And for me, that is anything from the way you wake up in the morning, getting each other coffee, kissing each other good morning, getting each other a towel, to the way you go to bed at night, turning off the lights, pulling back the bed, whatever it is that your rituals are, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, throughout the relationship, those rituals add so much meaning. You don't want to spend the time, you don't want to spend the money, you don't want, but you're missing it, right? Those rituals are really, really valuable. So whatever it is to you, I want you to consider, what are your rituals and what are you creating? And they're meaningful, they're important. Number 7 is shared goals. Now, that's different, right, than visions and dreams. Goals could be that we're going to get fit this year, we're going to save a certain amount of money, we're going to build a house, right? That you have those goals. Now, again, you want to have your own goals. We need to have our own goals, but you also have to have shared goals. It's our goal as a couple to X, Y, and Z. That adds fun and a tremendous amount of meaning to love. Let's see. Number 8 is look closely at why you fight. Okay, this is not about blaming the other person. I promise you, you participate in this, right? It takes both of you to fight. There is a giver and a receiver on both ends. So, but you want to, instead of looking at the fight, we can do that at another time. I want you to look at why you're fighting. Like, what is underneath it? Is it you're fighting because you're not getting recognized? You're not getting recognition? Are you fighting because you see writing on the wall that your partner isn't seeing and it scares you? Is it whatever it is? Why are you really fighting? Don't tell me the logistics. Oh, we're fighting because she spends too much money. That's not it, right? What's underneath that? And what's underneath that is it sacrifices our security, or maybe it feels disrespectful, but what is the why? Okay, and it's not about the what you did or what I did, it's about the what's underneath. What are you really fighting about? And when you know that, by the way, then you can create some solutions that will help you create a little bit of meaning there. Okay, so number 9 is own who you are. So we all want to see ourselves in very sparkly at least in my world, sparkly, but we all want to see ourselves in really positive, beautiful light. And the truth is that we are all that, and we're all also not that, right? We're flawed and broken and human and fabulous and sexy and all the things that we are, but you got to be able to own it, right? If you say, oh, I'm somebody that's needy, that is okay. I mean, it's part of like owning that and then knowing what you need and what you want and what you desire. So how can you have your needs met? How can you meet your partner's needs and add meaning to the relationship if you aren't willing to own who you are, right? If you turn into an ass at the first of every month because you have to pay bills, or you turn into a bitch every time you get PMS, or at least own it and recognize the impact that it has on the relationship. That will make a huge difference, right? Denying it, by the way, does nothing for you, right? It changes nothing. It damages the relationship. So stop denying it and start owning it. And those of you who know who I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. Okay, number 10, embrace your humanity. That's different than owning who you are, right? Owning who you are is really who you are. Your humanity means that sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we're moody. Sometimes we're needy. Sometimes we're loving. Sometimes we're not. Your humanity means that you are not going to be perfect, and in no way should you strive to be or expect yourself to be. Number 11 is expand your heart. This sounds very, very California, I get it, but it's exactly what it is. If you don't have the space in your heart, then how is it that somebody would have the space for you? How is it that you can meaningfully connect if you're always on the surface and you're not somewhere, a little bit deeper in your spirit? So, expanding your heart, leaning into love, coming from a place of love, by the way, will completely change the meaning in the love that you share. So expand your heart. That's number 11. Number 12 is focus on giving love. We're very clear about what we want, what we need, or usually, what we don't have enough of. But focusing on giving love, coming from a loving place, sharing it, being generous with it, whether it's, just being loving or sensuality or intimacy or making those bids or compliments, doesn't matter. The idea is that we are focusing on giving love and not doing it with the expectation that it has to be reciprocated right away, right? I say right away, yes, it's not ever going to be exactly equal, but it's okay for us to expect that we're going to be loved. So, but the idea here is focus on giving love. And then 13, the last one, is letting go of expectations. Now, let me clarify this one. It's not that we don't have expectations of our partner, right? There are certain things that are deal breakers for us. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that if you are giving love, if you're doing things with the expectation that it's going to be, given back in the exact same way, then it's a setup for failure. And it's going to rob the relationship of true meaning. So be careful about your expectations and why you're doing the nice things or the mean things or the things that you're doing, right? So manage your expectations. And if you do have expectations, then be generous enough with your partner to share them, and they can accept or decline. It doesn't mean that they have to fulfill just because you expect it, but it is important that if you have them, that you're going to share them, right? Because if not, it's just a test. And the chances are, because we're human, we will often fail the test. So, I would say ditch the expectations, or at least be really, really open and honest about what they are. So those are my 13 musts to making love meaningful. I say try them. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Just saying, right? Okay, take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.